Thanks for tuning in to the Beyond Normal podcast, where we highlight minority business owners and founders, and we use this platform to shed light on their entrepreneur journey. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Beyond Normal podcast. I am your host, Kenny Groom. We got an exciting guest that I want to bring to you guys today. We're going to be talking all things pets. But before we get into that, I just want to quickly shout out our sponsors over at Velour. They have been our partners again for the second season now, but Velour is making importing really simple, right? Velour Imports offers independently owned craft brands to wholesale buyers around the world. That team over there, Brooke and her team, are doing amazing things, but just wanted to shout them out. Velour is our partner. And before, I guess, in terms of segueing, right, we're going to segue right into our conversation with our guests. Our guest today, I'm excited to have her on. Our guest today, Cee Carter. She is the founder of PAWNDR, which offers fast pickup and delivery for your pet or livestock from a source that you can trust. And they are the first pet delivery service that picks up deliveries at your convenience. Definitely been working on this for a while. Cee is actually on the road right now, but we wanted to make sure that we brought this conversation to you guys now. So without further ado, I want to bring up Cee and start this conversation going. How's your day going, Cee?
Hey, awesome intro, by the way. That was dope. I appreciate that. I'm doing good. I'm blessed. Here I guess living my dream of being a business owner, being an entrepreneur, and I just gotta say thanks to God, for waking me up, for putting me where I am currently, and I just feel great.
Always good to hear that energy. I don't know if the audience can hear it, but that's the asphalt in the background, because in Cee's profession, it's all about delivering kind of, pets around the country right now, right? And so it's good to hear that in the background, right? I hear you driving, but I want to dive right into things with you and kind of give folks just the set the stage for them. Tell folks a little bit around your background leading up to you starting PAWNDR.
Wow, yeah. Driving as always. So let me think, where should I start? Well, just a little bit about me. So I am the youngest of 3 children, all girls. I graduated high school from Miami Edison Senior High. So I am a 305 resident, and, just been figuring out my way through life. I mean, my dad, we don't have the best relationship, and my mother, she was diagnosed with schizophrenia when I was very young. So I've never had those people in my life really, and had to just figure out, things on my own. And I think that's kind of what helped fuel this passion to become an entrepreneur, is to know that, you have no support, you have no one out there that can say, hey, go in there and do what you need to do. I didn't have anyone to hold my hand. So I'm thankful that my life actually went that way, because it helped mold and shape me into who I am. My sisters, I do have siblings that they're very supportive, thankfully, of, what I chose to do. And so I'm very grateful for them. In spite of not having my parents, they've definitely been there and definitely been cheering me on. So I appreciate it.
Awesome breakdown there, Cee, and I appreciate you being transparent on our platform. That's definitely what this platform is for, having honest and real dialogue. And so you touched on something there, right? Not necessarily, the relationship with your parents, not necessarily having that kind of that guiding way to see, all right, here's how an entrepreneur, right? Here's how an entrepreneur thinks. Here's how you kind of come into your light as an entrepreneur. So what was that moment for you, like where you kind of had that light bulb go off in your head, like, hey, there's some ideas out. I have an idea. I need to make sure that I put some time and energy into this and become a CEO, because that's a big step.
Good question. I think for me, just working for other people, I always knew that there was a problem with that for me because it's kind of like that thing where, you know, you want to be successful like these people on TV, but, you never feel like you'll ever be able to accomplish that working where you are. Those certain type of 9 to 5 jobs, they have a cap on how much you can make. And so I just knew that I was my own leader. Like I wanted to do my own thing. And so as I started to transition out of, the workforce, I worked for Whole Foods for about 4 years, and I did some additional work before then. I'm working with shout out to communities and schools that I started at when I was a teenager. And those things I learned a lot from, but I just knew that it wasn't for me. I knew I needed to get out there, and kind of even how I started Ponder, just in a really dark space because I didn't have any money, always feeling like I was short. And I was just like, yo, I need to figure this out. And so initially, it just started with me trying to solve my own problem of not having any money. And guess what? A lot of people have that problem. So I'm not alone in that. And yeah, that's pretty much what started me just on my entrepreneurial journey to begin with.
That's awesome. They're taking those lemons and making lemonade. Like it's so, like you said, having nothing, not having the resources that you need, right? You end up like really figuring out, like racking your brain, like, all right, what do I need to do, right, for things to change? And so that was awesome that you said, hey, you took that step to say, hey, I want to create my own. I want to be a CEO. I want to be a founder. So let's transition just slightly into the space that you're in right now. Like, why pets? Like why pet delivery, but why specifically be in the field right now pertaining to animals, right? In that whole delivery space. What do you see there as an opportunity?
Yeah, most definitely. So growing up as a kid, I'm Jamaican American, by the way. So I was always teased in school, because I wasn't like the other Black American kids. I wasn't hood enough. I wasn't Black enough. And so animals were always around me as a kid. And the one thing with animals that I realized is they're not judgmental. Like they don't care what you look like. They
Mm-hmm.
don't care what baggage you have on you, as long as you show them love. And even if you don't show them love, they'll still love you. And so I always had some type of connection to them because of that. And so fast forward now into starting Ponder, it wasn't my initial thing that I wanted to do. I had previous experience working with them, and having pets of my own as a kid, but it didn't really hit me to make it a career until one day I was just sitting on my bed and I was just like really bummed out. I was just like, man, I'm not making any money. I need to figure out what I'm going to do, how I'm going to eat, how I'm going to take care of myself. And I kid you not, like, this is how I know that there has to be a God that exists, because he actually gave me the idea to even Google pet transport. I was literally just sitting in my bed and he just said, Google pet transport. Like, I was so shocked about what that even was. I didn't even know what it was. And so by doing that, I was able to find a company that did something similar. I signed up as a driver, and I guess within 3 days, I had my first shipment from Florida to California for like $1,600, and I made that in a couple days. So I knew from that moment that I'm onto something. If I can make this
Mm-hmm.
1,600 all the time, I'm onto something. So that's kind of where all that came from.
That's an amazing story there, see, and I appreciate you sharing that. Like you went out there, you got the proof of concept, right? Like you heard something, like something told you, like pet transport, right? And for you to have a $1,600 purchase right from the very beginning, that is like it's did it feel like it was really destined for you to do this in that moment, like when all the stars lined up?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I believe that things are not just by chance, right? So I knew from that moment once I got that um, that thought in my head, and I just started to see that it was started to work, I knew from that moment that this is meant for me. And I believe that in life, period, regardless of where you find yourself, our lives are written out for us. We're just literally living them out. So I definitely feel like this is something that was directly made for me. And so I'm so proud and so happy to say that I'm a part of something that was cut and made exactly for me, and I wouldn't trade it for anything.
That's awesome. And I did a little research, right? See, just around the pet industry in the US, in general. In 2020, $104 billion, $103.6 billion to be exact. They're on pace this year, right, to spend 109.6, $110 billion. People are spending that much money on their pets when it comes to things like vet care, the food. I'm seeing things around food, medicines, and just overall other services as well. And so it's cool to see you come into this space, right, and see that opportunity around pet transport and really tackle it. But I'm curious, like what is the pain point for these customers? Like, why do they need to have their animals on a road trip right across the country in a lot of cases, but transported across these states? Like, what are some of the situations that you're dealing with for some of the customers that you have that are looking to utilize your service?
Oh man, where do I start? I mean, I would say predominantly the majority of the customers that I have are like breeders. So then they'll need transportation for their customers who may be across different states. Like if they can't sell them locally, you'll have rescues that also like have a high demand for this service because they're either trying to get dogs to adopt out locally, or maybe they might have dogs there locally, but they can't seem to find homes for them. But maybe someone is out of state that is interested and can be a good fit for them. So situations like that, people who are moving and can't put their pet on the airline, that's been a big problem over the last couple of years. And I would say just different situations. You have pet trainers who are looking to provide that service for their customers, so they don't have to go out of their way and take off work to do certain things. And then I've had personal situations where I had a client one time who was trying to escape her abusive husband, and she couldn't take her pet on the plane with her, and she's like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And then I knew from that moment, like, this is something that is well needed, across the states, and I'm sure across the world. So I was just really happy that I was able to provide something of value that people needed and that they could use all the time.
I love hearing that. In this current environment, it seems like pets more than ever have become extensions of people's family, right? And so a lot of people, they treat their pets like their kids, right? They treat them like they're members of the family, and so they want to make sure that their service is out there. I think something that really resonated with me when I was going through your site was just around having a trusted source, and talk a little bit around, I guess, like, what does that mean for some of the people that leverage your service? Because they probably want somebody who cares about animals, who is somewhat of an animal, a pet lover, right? Which I know you yourself, like you said, you've been around pets your whole life. But tell us a little bit more around that piece, because it seems like you were deliberate in making sure that you're building trust with those customers, and they look to you as, a pet lover, somebody who really puts the time and energy with the pets. Like, talk a little bit around what that means for your customers, having a service like yours where you truly are a pet lover, and you put that, you almost love all the animals that you're transporting across the country.
Well, if we're speaking in a sense of my direct service that I've been providing, I think it's really important that, for me to build trust is to be transparent. And I've learned that transparency is one way to gain a person's trust, is if you're not hiding anything. You're not easily offended. And so what I would do is, personally for my clients, first of all, I'm licensed and insured. and I make sure that they know that. I provide GPS tracking for them. They're allowed to FaceTime me during the trips. I send pictures, I send updates. And make sure I have that line of communication that's clear, that's open, that they know they can reach me at any time. And so I think when you provide those things to people who are maybe a little reluctant at first, they're able to see that, wow, this girl has nothing to hide. These people have nothing to hide. And, um, she cares about my pet like it's hers, and essentially that's what I try to do. I try to make sure that I provide the best service possible. So moving forward now, hiring drivers to continue this journey and to continue to grow PAWNDR beyond where it is now, making sure that they're background checked. So I just want to throw this in there. We're actually partnered with Good Hire. So they do all our background checks for us, and just to make sure that these are the applicants that, are suitable to pick up pets, and who have experience. Now, you don't have to be experienced to be a PAWNDR transporter. However, for where I'm at now, just building the initial trust with my customers, that's more preferred. Because what I find is drivers who have done transport before, they're a lot more knowledgeable. They know what to do in certain situations. They have all their licensing. It's just a lot easier for that transition. So those are some ways and some things that I'm doing to really push and create that trust between my customers and drivers, and even myself.
Thanks for that breakdown there, C. And you just touched on something towards the end around leveraging the tool. I think you said it was Good Hire, where you are doing some screening of the drivers. Can you talk about, in this gig economy, right? How should business owners be thinking about leveraging some of these microservices, some of these partnerships out here? Because it seems like from the very beginning you've had a good kind of rhythm with picking partners, and like you said, Good Hire is one of those ones I've heard of before. But like in this gig economy, how important is it for you to, while you're trying to build lean, leverage some of these services that are out there that give you credibility and allow you to scale your business?
Well, I think it's important to, first of all, it's kind of one of those things where you have to do your due diligence on the companies that you want to partner with, and you have to make sure that they make sense for your business and for what you're trying to do. So for me, for example, we're actually partnered with another startup called Driver Dashcam. And so basically they allow customers to check up on their pets, and it provides also liability for drivers. So if anything happens, they have it documented. They have an actual video capture in live of what's going on. And so I look for partners that can specifically meet the needs of whether it's the driver or the customer, wherever they are and whatever they need it for. So I'll just give you another example. Some future partnerships that we're looking at is specifically towards the driver's health. Because I've been a driver for many years, I've fell into depression, not getting access to a lot of healthy and nutritious foods, not having anyone to really talk to because I did it alone. So that can wear on you. And so I'm specifically looking for partners that can help the overall well-being of both customer and driver and pet. So those are kind of the services and other outside businesses that I'm really looking to partner with. And we're in talks of partnering with another one soon. I won't reveal it here, but I will definitely let you know, once we secure that. So yeah, I'm pretty excited. And again, being a woman of color, it makes it a lot different. We look at the world a little differently. And I just want to make sure that overall, all needs are being taken care of and are met.
Thanks for that. You dropping nuggets here, see, and so you just threw some things out there that I definitely want to make sure that I touch on. I think the first thing is like, you touched on it towards the end with you being a woman of color, like you mentioned your Jamaican heritage. I'm curious for you, like in the space that you're in, like what are some of the precautions that you do take, right? In this space of you driving, like a lot of times it's just you and animals. Like, what are some of the precautions that you do take, knowing the current environment we're in, specifically in your field when it comes to gig economies? You mentioned safety. We got to make sure folks are safe doing their job. So what are some of the precautions you take as a driver when you're wearing that driver hat, right? To make sure that you're safe and sound at all times.
Well, I use this app called, I believe it's called, let me find it 1 second. It's called Life 360. So I actually have friends and family that we share locations, so they're able to, if anything happens to me, they're able to see where I'm at all times. And also, I have been that Black person that got pulled over. But one thing I realize, regardless if you're right or wrong, yes, certain things are your rights, but I try to have an attitude of staying calm, regardless of the reason I was pulled over. Because, especially because of the Black Lives Matter movement, a lot more things have been happening. And so I just try to be aware of my surroundings at all times. If I don't need to be somewhere, I'm not there.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't have to stop to get to something to eat in a certain neighborhood, or, it's just about being aware of where you are at all times. Just be polite, be nice to people. I'm not saying that they're going to return the favor, but a lot of times you can soften a blow by just an act of kindness, or, just minding your own business.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes both of them work. So for me, I've just learned that, just know where you are. You have your friends and family, that if anything happens, they know where you're at. And just always have that network of communication with people that you love and who are close to you.
And can you repeat that app again? Was it Life 360?
Yes, Life 360. Yep, that's right.
Got it. Life 360, and it's so important, like that those tools are out there. See, the reason why I asked that is because, this gig economy, these kinds of solutions and businesses like yours, there's probably going to be more and more of these solutions that pop up, right, for different industries. And so it's cool to see that there are some tools out there that enable you, again, to be safe as a driver. I can even imagine some of the road trips that I've taken where you're going down some of these dark highways, and we're going off our GPS. We got our phone there, but like you said, when you're alone, you still want to make sure that you have your community, have your tribe around you. And so I want to transition a little bit though, because you mentioned that you're from Miami, and I have been hearing some great things, some things bubbling up around folks really moving there and it becoming somewhat of a tech hub. So I'm curious, and where you're currently at now, in terms of your home base, do you feel like there's how's the environment in terms of kind of enabling and supporting a business like yours, where it seems like a lot of what you do is tech driven, right? It's driven by some of these cool tools out here. So I'm curious, the support that you're getting in your home base, how would you go about rating that, and if there's any kind of shout outs or any ways that people can kind of tap into and specifically your local market, some of those resources that are out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to Clubhouse. That's the number one place that I've really been able to help promote myself. And I've met some incredible people. Being on the road, I can't physically be there. So I actually wanted to shout out Jeff Webstein. He's amazing. He's a blogger out of Miami, and he's really been into the tech space. And he actually did a press release for PAWNDR about a month ago. And I'm just so grateful for all the support. That I do believe will be the next Silicon Valley is Miami. There's so many tech events that happen there. There's so many things for young people or young founders coming into, the tech space. And I just really feel like um, it's on the rise. And so I highly suggest and I highly recommend everyone, if you're in the tech space, if you're in Miami, check out some of the tech scenes that are there. You meet a lot of great people. There's a lot of networking that happens. And I think they're really taking a step forward, to kind of changing the infrastructure of how people of color can get funding and access to investors and access to mentors. And it's just a big chain of support. So, yeah, I big up Miami big time, 305 all day.
So if I'm hearing that correctly, I got it on the screen. See, let's go to Miami. Who
Yes,
doesn't?
sir.
Who doesn't? Who doesn't want some time on the beach? Some great food there. Always a good time there. But I am hearing, some of the conversations that I've had with certain individuals, that there is, like you said, see, there is somewhat of a bubbling there, and it seems like stars are aligning for that to be one of the new hubs, right outside of the Silicon Valleys, the New Yorks. There's probably going to be some smaller hubs where people can have that nice work-life balance and still build as a CEO or founder. So that's awesome to hear. And again, let's just go to Miami. Who doesn't want to spend some time in Miami, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And I just wanted to say, Chicago is also another great tech hub. I had the pleasure of meeting my advisor, mentor, Lakon, who's out of Chicago, and he's amazing. And I would just say, like, even the rescue that I'm partnered out there, shout out to MCP, Chicago Rescue. They're doing the darn thing out there. I think it's really wherever you find yourself, just make the most of the environment, make the most of the people that are there, make the most out of the resources that are there to you, and don't ever feel like you're a victim. Don't ever feel like there's no one there to help you. You have to help you. So shout out to those places, and I look forward to expanding there really, really soon.
Got it. And touching a little bit on that, having mentors, when having that support system, there's obviously some learnings that occurs for you as the founder, the CEO. You're wearing a lot of hats, and so I'm always curious to know for founders like yourself, like what's that thing you've learned so far that you wish you could hop in a time machine and you can know that right at the beginning of the process of you starting your own company. Like, what's that one thing that you've learned so far?
There's been so many things that I've learned. I mean, I wish I could hop in a time machine, but you know what? I actually don't, because there's something that's so unique about experience, right? That you can't get out of just knowing it all. Like, it takes the fun out of growing and learning. And to any entrepreneur out there looking to find a mentor, the first thing that I would do is to go to some of these events or utilize Clubhouse to kind of, first of all, figure out what is it or what area do you need help in? Do you just need overall guidance? Is there a specific thing that you need help with? Being specific is something that is going to help you in the long run. Not only do you not waste people's time, but you yourself are able to uncover what those core problems that you might have that maybe you really didn't think about before. And so, mentorship, when seeking a mentor, what I would, I guess, highly suggest for anyone who's in that space is to kind of look at the people that you want to, I wouldn't say emulate, but look at the people that you feel like have a lot of knowledge in the specific area that you have, and kind of do a one-on-one with them. Just reach out to them, give them some compliments, reach out with a one-on-one and see where that takes you. I find that that's a lot more easier to segue into mentorship because they've gotten to know you. It's not something that you're just walking down the street and like, hey, can you be my mentor? No, you establish a relationship with people first. And then after establishing a relationship with them, that's when you request that mentorship, and you can really see if that person is receptive and would be interesting in something like that. So that's just my advice on that. But yeah, I wouldn't change anything. I think just learning as you go is important. So that's what helped me.
Love that there, Cee. And in the process, right, of you, elaborate. And, I took a lot from that around establishing that relationship first with your mentor, right? And so, going in and asking, kind of cold calling, cold emailing, cold contacting people and asking them to be your mentor is probably not the best approach, right? You want to build that rapport. You want them to know about you, right? So that they can tailor that feedback that they're giving to you. And so that's spot on advice for those out there. You're dropping gem after gem, Cee, and definitely appreciate you sharing that on our platform.
Yeah, most def. Thank you for the opportunity.
So want to switch things up just a little bit. You mentioned, you being a colored female founder. Like, how do you feel like in this current environment, in terms of you scaling your business, going after mentors, like how do you feel like this current, playing field, right, is set up for you? Because we know we have been having some conversations over the last like year or two, right? Some really deep dive conversations around just the lack of focus on getting resources and having that even playing field. But how do you feel in this current environment, just around after all the conversations that have happened and you really growing your business? Like, how do you feel like the landscape is, set up for you to win, right? Do you feel like it is, or what are some of the opportunities that you may see if that's not the case?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, now what was that? Didn't Drake have a song like "There's no better time than now"? Or he had something like that. So right now is the time to, I mean, in height of Black Lives Matter, I think that kind of helped a lot of Black-owned businesses. But to kind of like segue off of just that, I will say this because I got some really good advice from some people who are close to me, and they just said, don't use your color as something to hold you back. I know a lot of times we like to say, and I do it all the time, and it's something that I'm working on. But being Black, and there's nothing super special about being Black, right? Meaning, we're just people, right? We're not criminals. All of us aren't criminals. We aren't, um, there to be a charity case or anything like that. So, this person told me, or I should say these people, because I've heard it more than one time, is to let your work speak for itself. If you have something of quality, it doesn't matter what color you are, people will definitely cling to it if it's something that they need and is executed well. So I just kind of stopped letting, being a Black woman kind of hold me back. And I was just like, you know what? I'm going to use this to help me catapult to the next level. And so because I don't usually race bait people and, try to be that, oh, I'm sorry for myself type, Black girl. And I just let my business speak for itself. I've been garnering to a lot of people. And I was able to pull a lot of people into my business that way because they really don't know. Looking at my branding, you really don't know who I am. And so even better, now that people are getting to know me, they're sticking around. So yeah, I would just say don't let your color or anything make you feel like, oh, you can't do something. But at the same time, take advantage of the moment. There's a lot of spotlight being shown on Black-owned businesses. So I think there's no better time than now.
I love that. And then I think the Drake tape you're referring to, there's no better time to be alive, right? And so
Yeah.
like you said, just embracing the moment. Like you said, we know that there are certain biases that come along when somebody sees us, but that's okay. But I love how you spun that on its head to say, hey, I'm going to leverage this moment, right? And there isn't anything that I feel like you see as you're building out your business that, you can't do that others are doing that don't necessarily look like you. And you touched on something very important there, which I'm excited to hear more and more founders talk about, in terms of your audience, in terms of your customers, the people that you're servicing, the pets, right? they don't really care they shouldn't care what your skin color is, right? Like you're providing a excellent service, you're building your platform, and you mentioned something, just the way that you branded your platform. They're not going to know the color of your skin or, your background, right? And that's, I appreciate you putting that out there, because again, if you're providing that service, that value for people, the product should speak for itself in a lot of instances. And I think your product is speaking for itself, and it has been. And your branding, I want to just throw that in there, is really spot on. I think even from our first conversations, that was one of the things that stuck out to me just right from day one, how you're branding. And you got the pets up front, you got the pets, the spotlights and things like that on your social media. You really have put your customer at the forefront of your marketing and your advertising, and it really shows.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I mean, it wasn't cheap by any means. And I did the best that I could to just capture the overall feeling that I wanted people to feel. When you think about pets, it's something that's very joyful. It's something that is, it makes you happy when you think about them. So I wanted a brand that exhibited that feeling of joy, that feeling of being happy, that feeling of, oh, that's so cute, that's kind of what I wanted to capture with my overall presence. So thank you so much for that. That means a lot. I really appreciate that. And yeah, when you put in the work, never try to look for the cheapest thing, especially when you're branding yourself. Be serious with it. If you have to go work an extra job just to do it, do what you have to do. But that is the first thing that people see when they look at you, is your brand, is how do you look, how, especially if you have a company, whether it's service or product based, they're looking at your brand. They haven't even used it yet. So if you can sell them off of just your overall presence, then that's the start.
I like it. I can even think to someone like, I've been on the high luxury brands lately. I've just been like trying to figure out why so many people are buying these high luxury brands. We all know the names of them. I don't need to say them. But like you said, there's that brand recognition in it, and buying some of these products equates to luxury, or equates to things that are in the back of people's minds. And so, like you said, from the very first day, having some of that, having that branding in the right place, it can really truly be an asset. But you said something in your breaking that down. You said, hey, it wasn't cheap, right? And so I think that's one of the things we don't always peel back the onion on in our community, but talk a little bit around not necessarily the exact dollar amount, but maybe what went into that process and why you felt like spending that money up front was the right thing to do. You touched on it briefly there, but just elaborate a little bit, if you can, on like what went into spending a lot of money on the front end, where you still kind of have some of that uncertainty, but like you said, in your industry, branding is a really important part.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, just thinking about it, I just knew I wanted something that looked good, and it took me a while to get there. I mean, I recommend for anybody out there looking for a designer to get something professionally done, you can go on sites like behance.net. They have accredited, very professional designers on there, and you can just talk to them no matter what your price point is. And so I learned, when I started to message some of the cheaper ones, I wasn't getting the quality that I was looking for. And so I just knew from that moment that I had to, if I wanted the overall look to captivate people and to look professional and to, give that appearance that I'm taking things serious, then I had to spend more money on it. That's anything in life. Anything that's too cheap, stay away from it. If it's too cheap, it's too good to be true, And so I started to find that out, which actually made me spend more money, because then I had to go correct it with something that, stood out and was done professionally by a professional. So, yeah, I would just say to anyone out there who's looking to create that brand. Just know you'll have to, it's an investment. Don't look at it as wow, I'm spending all this money and I may never get it back. Look at it as I'm investing in my future to something that could potentially take me to the next level. So it's all about your mindset. It's all about what things you're trying to accomplish. And I think if you keep those things in mind, you'll definitely go pretty far.
I love that approach. And you just made me think about taking pictures. See, like I should never be taking pictures on my iPhone and saying that these are a good quality to represent my brand. And I learned that very, very early on in the process of building out the podcast, because I was like, yeah, I'm going to need some help, because I don't know what it is. Maybe it's my phone. See, maybe it's not me, it's my phone, but I am not good at taking photos like at all. And so,
Me either.
Yeah, like I'm adding the wrong filter, like I'm putting the wrong, links up there. It just doesn't come together for me. And so I'm okay with, based off of what you just said, I'm okay with going out there and actually talking to somebody who's an actual photographer. And I can actually say photographers and things like that, like that is a craft. I applaud those people who are skillful and creative in that avenue, because I am not.
Same here.
Yes.
Same here. And I recommend anybody, if you're not a professional photographer, do look at stock photos. Stock photos will save your life when you're trying to get something done, whether it's a website or just social media stuff. Like, there are so many free outlets out there. There's pexels.com, there's upsplash.com that you can go to get these things downloaded for free. So I recommend that to anyone who doesn't have a camera, doesn't have the money to hire a professional photographer, to use those sites.
Yeah, spot on feedback. And so you touched a little bit about on this topic earlier. I think you mentioned it when you were talking about your mentors, having mentors and things like that, and figuring out, you leveraging them to figure out, what your go forward is. And we actually have a question that is sponsored by our partners over at Velour. Velour, if their slogan is "Don't just import it," Velour, they are, helping, independently owned craft brands get their products to wholesale buyers around the world. But our question is around world domination, right? And so for you, Cee, want to put that question out there. What has success look like for you through 2021 so far? And then, what does world domination moving forward look like for PAWNDR as well?
So have you asked that? So right now, success, you want to know what success looks like for me? First of all, me coming from having negative $150 in my bank account to making over $124,000 last year is what I call success, all on my own. So I definitely feel like success depends on the person. It depends on what exact goals you set for yourself. Doesn't mean you have to drive a Ferrari or a Bentley or even be a millionaire. It's what you want. It's what you see yourself as, and those goals that you have for yourself that you're actively solving. So it could be anything. And so just for me, I really feel like, how can I say this? I set goals for myself of being a business owner, and I never thought that it would turn out this way. So it worked for my advantage, and I was able to, slowly but surely grow my business to what it is now. And so I'm just so thankful and so blessed that God has been with me throughout the whole entire thing. So I'm growing steadily, but world domination would look like everyone is using PAWNDR who has a pet, or anyone in the future who's thinking about a pet uses PAWNDR. So I really want it to become a household brand at some point, and I want to become the leader of pet transportation around the world.
I got chills there, see? Woo, I got chills.
It's true. I believe it. I'm working toward it.
That North Star is crazy. Oh, that North Star is crazy. But just your transparency again. I can't say it enough, but definitely appreciate you sharing that on our platform. But just for you, like you said, you hung in there. You know, we've all seen a negative balance in a bank account before. We know it happens, but then to where you are right now, right, where you've actually got those concrete, hardcore sales, you got revenue coming in. Ooh, that part gave me chills. And then at the end, you just capped it off with like you just want to dominate the whole industry. Oh my gosh, I got chills as you were like explaining that, and that's the kind of thing where on our platform, on the Beyond Normal media platform now, right? Because we're not even just thinking about it as a podcast, but a media platform. We want to hear those affirmations. We want to take part in conversations with you, Cee, as you're going through the process, right? I want to be able to say I knew Cee before she got her first million, first $1 billion, right? First $1 billion check, first $1 million check. I want to be able to say that I was around then, right? And so you sharing your background, your story, again, it's amazing. But you just, man, that world domination, that question, you just capped that off perfectly.
Oh, for sure. Well, I mean, Kenny, listen, you knowing me now, and we're building up a pretty good relationship. So you can definitely say that, and the same for you. Like I feel like podcast is on the rise right now, and especially since you have such a niche way of doing business. I think you're gonna go really far. And I told you before. I think I told you this a couple months ago. Like you'll be the Hollywood Unlocked of, of podcasting. So
That's
I
dope.
definitely think that that's something that you got to believe it for yourself. And I
Mm-hmm.
see it in you. And I see it in other, strong young Black entrepreneurs as well. So I think it's just believing it for yourself
Mm-hmm.
and then executing on it.
That's another gem. All right. So next up, Cee, I want to pass it to you first. Let folks know how they can, interact with the brand if they got pets and they need their pets transported, moving forward. Let them know how they can keep up with the brand and then find out all the latest and greatest things with PAWNDR.
Yeah, absolutely. So you guys can go to www.goponder.com if you want to sign up as a customer. Right now, we have it available where customers can make a profile so that we have your information. We are launching our booking page today. So if you're interested in getting your pet transported, I do have a dispatch specialist available 24/7 who will be taking your orders and matching you with the best driver with the best quote um, around your budget. So those are things that you guys can do now on all streaming platforms. We're goponder.com. Sorry, not goponder.com. I'm thinking about my website. We're at goponder. For Facebook, it's at goponder as well, but the O is an actual zero and not the letter. So just in case you guys can't find me, that's the only thing that's different. And yeah, just stay updated through social media. Catch us on there. We got a lot of new things coming up, a lot of new content. And yeah, just follow us on there and just see us grow and become part of the tribe.
I love it. I love it. And again, we'll make sure I blasted that in the video as well, so folks can find it there. We'll definitely make sure as we see all the latest and the greatest things coming from PAWNDR that we'll push it on our social media platform as well. But outside of that, is there anything that you want to close out with? I always want to make sure I pass it to my guest, Cee, in terms of closing out the show. Any lasting words that you want for folks to take moving forward?
I would just say that to anyone looking to start their own business, any young entrepreneur out there, you feel like there's no hope for you, your destiny is in your hands, and you have the power today to choose whatever that outcome looks like. Whether you have a negative amount in your bank account, whether you're going through a tumultuous breakup, wherever you find yourself, just keep the faith and know that there is hope for you, and things will get better. So that is my little advice. I know it's pretty cliche, but it's true, and it's worked for me. And just believe in yourself and act toward those goals.
Thanks for that, Cee. Perseverance. You're definitely the definition of that. Thank you for coming on our platform. We're gonna make sure that we have you on again to check the progress updates on that world domination. But appreciate having you, and I know you are delivering pets as we speak. So safe travels there. And then to all the followers, all the people that are listening, thanks for tuning in to the Beyond Normal podcast.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for tuning in to the Beyond Normal podcast. We can be streamed across all major streaming platforms in addition to YouTube. Come back again.